Hey guys, welcome to this video. So in this video I'm going to be showing you guys how to set up the terminal system that I developed. So it's actually pretty straightforward, I think. When I give you the file, you'll get this terminal assets folder. And just plop it in the workspace, and when you open it up, you'll see all these different folders inside that main folder. And you just have to move the items within that folder into their correct spots. So for example, the replicated storage stuff, we're going to open that folder, take everything from inside replicated storage, and we're just going to move it into the actual replicated storage. And that's that. So now we don't need that folder anymore because we just used everything from it, so we can remove it. We're going to take the next one here, server script service. We're just going to move that down into server script service. Delete the folders that we don't need. Starter player scripts. So that's actually down here. It's going to be inside starter player. And then we're going to move it inside starter player scripts. We're going to take our teams. Now in this case, I had it set up as Empire and Rebels. And let me show you guys why I had it set up like that. If you guys don't have any teams in your game, the terminal system does require that you have at least two. So we're going to open up Model, select Service, and we're going to click on Teams, and it will put in this team folder down here. And what we're going to do is we're going to take these two teams, and we're just going to move them in there. The reason why these two teams that come with the terminal system are important is because inside they have these images. Now in this case, I have this set up to be this image here, the Empire logo, and there's another one for the Rebel one. But for your game, you'll want to change these two images to some other logo. So maybe like an Empire, or if you're I don't know, if you're a Clone Wars group, you'd want to change it to like a Clone Wars logo versus the CIS logo or something. And you can rename the teams here too and change the colors. If you change your team colors, the terminals will automatically change also. So you don't have to worry about that too much because it's based on the team colors. You don't have to worry about changing the colors of the terminals. We're going to take the things here in Workspace, capture points up here, remove the folders that we don't need, and Starter GUI, we're just going to move it down here, and this should actually be named Terminal UI. I'll fix that before I send it to you guys. That should be named Terminal UI. And it is very important that it's named Terminal UI because if it's not, this script down here, it will not work. Terminal assets, we can remove that. So now we actually have everything set up. Terminal systems in the game. Now what we can start doing is editing the settings. So to edit the settings, we can come over to the terminal system script here. Open that up. And these are the settings here that you want to edit. Everything below this line, that's just code to make the system work. So don't worry about editing that because you'll probably just end up breaking it. And it looks like a bunch of nonsense probably. Yeah, you won't want to edit some of that. I mean, there are some stuff. If you come down here, here's where the victory messages are. So if the enemies win the game, it will say the enemy team has won the raid. If the friendly team wins, the friendly team has won the raid. I guess you could technically change those with no problems, but I wouldn't recommend it unless you know what you're doing. So let's talk about these settings. So the range is the amount of studs you have to be away from a capture point in order to capture it. In this case, I set it up to be 20 studs. So if you're within 20 studs at the capture point, it will it'll notice that you're there and it'll start capturing. It takes 5 seconds to capture it. The first team to reach 300 points wins. You'll probably want to increase this to something like 1600 points or something even bigger maybe. I just used 300 because I was testing stuff. So admin list, these are the group ranks that are allowed to use the admin commands in the game. And so we have a start command, a stop command, and a reset command, and I'll go over those shortly. So basically, how you set it up is you set up the group ID, and then you say which rank and above you want to be able to access those admin commands. In this case, I set it up to be one of my groups, and I made it so anyone in the group can use it. I just did that for testing, but obviously you can change that to something else. Teams, this is pretty important. You have to tell the system which team is the enemy team. In this case, it's the Rebels, and which team is the friendly team. In this case, is the Empire. So you'll have to change that. So if you had a Republic team, for example, if you had, instead of Empire, you'd have to change the Empire here to like Republic, like that, if I spelled it right. Yeah, so that's how you change the teams there. Once you do that, the system will automatically work perfectly for you. And here's how you decide how a raid automatically starts. In this case, there needs to be 6 friendly players and 9 enemy players. So that's why we differentiate between enemy and friendly, because we need to have, in this case, we need to have 6 Empire, because that's the friendly team, and we're checking for friendly here, 6 of them. For enemy, we need 9, in this case it's the rebels, and that will automatically start a raid once you reach those numbers. You can obviously change those numbers to whatever you want. So let's talk about how the system works. So right now, because I set it up to be 6 and 9, obviously it's not going to work. So what we're going to have to use is the admin commands. So if I do start, because I'm an admin, it says raid started and all the terminals start to activate. We can walk up, we're within the 20 stud radius that we set up. And there we go. Now our capture point is captured and we are getting 1 point per second. If we capture a second terminal, now we'll start making 2 points per second. If you capture 3, I assume you can guess what happens. We're going to start making 3 points per second. Also, you see the colors above the terminals have also changed, so anywhere in the map, you can tell which terminal is controlled by what. Now let me just quickly change my team to the Empire here, so I can show you what happens when the other team starts to capture points. So this is where your group logo comes in. It will automatically put your group logo found within your team folder there. So it goes to neutral, and the red team captures it. And now we're starting making points. These people are only making 2 points now. Awesome. So now if we want to stop the raid, we just do stop, raid over. So the terminals will all reset, but the scoreboard will stay the same, so you can see where what state the raid was in when you stop it. Now if you want to reset the scoreboard, you just say reset. Resets that. Now we can do start again. Sometimes it might take a second for it to actually recognize. Now, if we did, I have it set up so you can't reset during the raid, because that's kind of it's kind of overpowered if you can just reset. So if you want to reset, you have to stop. So if you do stop, it will stop it, and then if you do start right away, it will also automatically reset it for you. You do have to wait that half second or so before you can restart it. And yeah, so that's all the admin commands. Let's talk about if you want more than 3 terminals, it's actually very easy. You just copy one of them, move it to where you want it, and then you have to make sure that the new terminal is inside the capture points folder, and you name it something. In this case, I'm going to name it D, but you can also name it something like you could also technically name it whatever you want. The UI, it probably won't look very good on the UI. Let me show you what I mean. You probably want to stick with normal names. So yeah, so you can see hangar up here. It says hangar, but it's really hard to read. It also says hangar there. So technically you can name it whatever you want, but that's just keeping it to 1 or 2 letters. So if we renamed hangar maybe to something like HA for hangar, or even in this case you could probably just do H or something. See, HA is much more easily read, and you can definitely see it there, no problem. So that basically covers it for the terminal system. We talked about installing the admin features and the settings. If you have questions, feel free to DM me on Discord. I'll help you out with that. Yeah, until then, thank you for purchasing, and I hope you enjoy the system.